Welcome back to Breaking Bitcoin. We are live every day at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is your daily source for everything cryptocurrency, financial markets, and personal finance. I'm your host, Justin Wise, lead analyst at CrackingCryptocurrency.com. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic Friday. So much to talk about today. Exciting price action. As usual, before we begin, there has never been a better time to join our community and start building your own verified trading system. You can take advantage of our proprietary indicators like Quadriga ATR, Parallax, the baseline, our community and one-on-one mentoring, premium trading signals, and our entire suite of educational material and courses. If you're interested, there is a link in the description that will take you to the website with all of the information in the sign-up process, or visit premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com. Yes, it does look even better on mobile. That's premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com. All right, like I said, we've got so much to talk about. First off, we are in full celebration mode for the most part, having reached $10,000, right? $10,000, beautiful milestone, nice size psychological number, as we watch Bitcoin do its thing right around the $10,000 level. Last night, and we're going to get into so much, there's just so much to go over. I mean, let's just get into the charts. Let's go right into the charts today. I want to look at a whole lot of things. I want to look at some on-chain metrics. I want to look at some charting metrics and just kind of analyze where we think price is overall likely to go and how we are positioning along with that. Of course, if you are new to the channel, if this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. That's the only way you'll be notified when we go live, and ensure that you get notifications on time. And of course, guys, like goal for today's live stream is 50 likes. We can do it. We've done it almost every single day this week. You have the power within you to just slide it down there and press that thumbs up button, because that's the only way we can help get into the feed and get this information out there at a time when people need to absolutely hear it the most. So, all right, guys, let's get going. Let me know how you're doing in the live chat. If you have any questions, the moderators will direct my attention to it as we get later on in the show. All right, let's go. All right, so here we are in the... Oh, don't worry, we'll get into this in just a second. Let's get over into the live scene first. Okay. So we'll start off just with what I've done over the last 24 hours since we last spoke. Last night, not shortly after the daily candle close, it was basically right at the open of the Asian trading session today. So around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock a.m. my time. Ended up taking profit on my BTC USD leverage long that I had taken prior to the breakout from yesterday. Of course, I had attempted to play the short in this range and was actually stopped out on that, but it flipped, or not flipped, due to the BTC USDT perpetual contract. You can be both long and short on the same contract. So I really enjoy utilizing that. That's been one of my favorite ways to trade here for a while. Basically since ByBit launched that, it's just a fantastic platform. Gives you all the functionality that you need. But we were able to catch that movement to the upside with leveraged at-risk position. And the loss that I took from the short position that stopped out about 9,500 and I put on the long about 9,300 was, the net P&L, the net profit from my winning trade dwarfed the loss, and then also put me into the net profit for quite a profitable trade. So I ended up closing that out, basically selling the local top, right at the top of yesterday's daily close and where today's price action currently is. And then I ended up putting on a short position. Now, I do have a split position open. First off, I'm net long, spot long. I've never sold my Bitcoin in this run up to the upside. And that's not really how I trade Bitcoin. I utilize my hedging strategy to be long or short. I don't hedge near tops. I hedge when the trend flips to the bearish side, and I buy into spot BTC when we flip to the upside. More specifically, I don't actually sell my Bitcoin. I haven't sold my Bitcoin in 3 years. I just utilize futures positions to cover and hedge me, right? So I can use less risk and keep my funds in cold storage and off the exchanges where they're the absolute safest. When it comes to what I currently have on ByBit, I do have a long position open and a short position utilizing the USDT perpetual futures contract, as I have put out to the premium members. The long signal just went out earlier as we saw price action consolidating above today's point of control, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But just to give you guys, just to be transparent with you guys on where I'm at before we get into today's analysis. All right. So The first thing we want to look at is here on the daily time frame. Yesterday, Minx did give us a continuation long signal on yesterday's daily close. We are above the baseline. We are above the continuation filter of the breaking Bitcoin trading system and above the initiator as well. We got a powerful signal from Wada Explosion indicating that the volume delta is positive, i.e. more money is flowing into the market. And that momentum is also agreeing with that, as well as volatility expanding. The Bollinger Bands are separating, indicating a very volatile movement, and it is likely that those volatile movements progress. Parallax, which I had previously been wary about because it was angling down toward the zero line, and I was wary of it crossing under zero, which to me would have been, of course, a bearish initiation signal and potentially a reason to even look at adding trending short exposure on. Of course, we're not trending to the downside yet, but Parallax topped above zero. This is a term that Alex likes to use quite a bit when he's talking about continuation or reinitiation of a trend or reversion to the mean strategy. So we have Parallax is still bullish, holding above the zero line now. So again, everything confirming that valid continuation swing long, which would be putting us up near, we are currently trading a little bit under 10,000 right now. That would be giving us take profit targets around 10,400 to, well, let me double check this with Quadrigo. So utilizing our stop and target system, yes, our first take profit would be around the vicinity of 10,400 up to 11,400, 11,396. But let's just split the baby and call it 11,400. Don't actually do any splitting of babies out there. I believe that is illegal. So anyways, overall, things are looking good. That is a valid continuation long signal. There are, of course, I'm going to be painting a slightly, of course, this could be a local top narrative because we want to be aware of these things as traders. We can't just dive into the fundamentals. And again, there's no reason to. We can take advantage of these movements in both directions while remaining safe and spot long, so trading the overall dominant trend, so gaining in USD value while using proper position sizing and risk management to capitalize on opportunities across different time frames and across different markets. And this is how we trade. We are currently painting a hanging man candle. A hanging man candle is a classic reversal candlestick. And what that means, as we can see, we do have a long tail or wick to the downside that we can see was bought back up because we are currently trading above the low of today's candle. What that indicates from a technical perspective is that bears did take control, sellers did take control of market dynamics, and they were able to push price down with aggressive market sells. However, at some point, once price reached the lows, buyers took control back of the market and pushed price back up. However, why the hanging man candlestick, if it closes like this, it will be a hanging man candlestick. Why the hanging man candlestick is considered a bearish pattern is because it denotes that although bulls were able to push the price back up, they weren't actually able to push it back up higher. They weren't able to actually make a new high. Price was unable to close above yesterday's close. And that is why it is considered bearish, because it shows that bears did take control, sellers took control, bulls stepped back in because they are overall dominant because price is going up. However, they just weren't strong enough. And generally, this is indicative of trend exhaustion, of buyer exhaustion, whether in the short term, which leads to a pullback, or in the medium term, which leads to a pronounced pullback, or in the long term, which means an actual reversal of trend and a top. So things to look out for. Things to look out for with today's daily close in terms of candlestick analysis. Other than that, all trending metrics overall look healthy, look good to the upside. That's why I said the valid swings are valid. However, if we do pull back from here, we will confirm bearish divergence from Minx. Our last Minx top was right here on this candle. We can see with a long tail to the upside. Right here is that absolute high on Minx when we reached about 130.47. And as we can see, we're actually forming a lower high on Minx while forming a higher high on price. So a little bearish divergence there in conjunction with a hanging man candlestick and overall just being pretty above the baseline, pretty overextended from the median. And of course, this is a time when traders kind of begin chomping at the bit, looking for, okay, when is this halving hype going to tap itself out? When are we actually going to reverse? Because every single day this week, we've gotten more and more and more bullish news. And timing is, of course, everything. We do know that traditionally as traders, when retail begins to enter into the market and begins aggressively buying when price is up or near highs, then that's often a good time to begin selling, because that's when institutions will begin distributing onto retail investors that are entering too late, because institutional investors accumulate low and sell high because they have the time frame and the patience to wait out drawdown and to allow these trades to come to fruition, which is also something that you should be doing in your own personal trading, particularly when it comes to your spot positions. All right, so that's the daily. And of course, we are extremely close to the halving, projected to take place on May 12th. We are going to be having a live stream halving party. The halving is set to occur shortly after the daily close on Monday. So we will be doing something special. We will be going live at noon Central Standard Time on Monday for our regularly scheduled show. And then we're just going to keep it live. We're going to plug in the Discord and have senior and junior analysts in here. We're going to have some of the members from the premium trading group. We may even pull some members from the live chat into the voice chat as well. We'll be looking at on-chain metrics. We'll be following the halving. We'll be following the mining activity. And we'll obviously be following price. And most likely, I think what we'll probably do, just to kind of make it a little bit funner, we might even go ahead and spin up a demo account, toss $1,000 or so into there, and maybe just try to do some live scalping live on stream. I think that would be fun, with the analyst team and you guys following along. I'm really looking forward to it. So we will be here. We will be here again Monday. We're going to take a break for the weekend. However, coming out this weekend, look forward to that John Ehlers interview. I had a chance, obviously, to sit down with Dr. John Ehlers, the founder of Mesa Software. And it was an incredible interview. We talked about backtesting. We talked about algorithmic trading. We talked about walk forward optimizations. We talked about the mathematics behind mass entropy spectral dilation and how you can apply digital signal processing to the markets. Absolutely great interview. So make sure you check that out. That's coming out this weekend, and maybe one of the best interviews I've ever done and best times I've ever had on the channel. Okay, so we've covered the daily time frame. Let's look over at the Meso today. Now, looking at Cybot, which, by the way, we have some optimizations coming out for Cybot over the weekend. So it is my earnest desire that come Monday, obviously this has been a fun process of getting our first automated strategy out there and running and working properly with our signal system, our signal dissemination system. And it is my earnest desire that we are going to have everything really nice and tuned and working absolutely much better come Monday. It's been fun. We've obviously got some fantastic trade signals out of there. Cybot allowed us to catch the first initial pump in Bitcoin not too long ago, several days ago. And we are going to be pushing these optimizations and optimizing them over the weekend. Are any of your t-shirts adult size or only the size that Justin is wearing? No, I'm sorry. They're all preteen size, brother. All right, let's see here. But here we are on the 4-hour time frame of BTC USD. As you can see, we are in an active 4-hour long swing targeting around 11,000. It's actually about 10,959 with a stop loss fairly low. This is how Cybot operates, around 8,300. And the reason that stop loss is just there in case we're very, very, very wrong. This strategy, of course, has its own exit system, as you guys can see. And the last trade was about a 1% trade, not overall too fantastic. Unfortunately, got kicked out before we pushed up. And this is one of the optimizations that I fixed with the new wave that's coming out. Yeah, just schmediums. We are quiet on the 2-hour time frame. So as far as intraday, and we can see that the 2-hour over here did much better with the buy and exit here with this cycle. So quiet on the 2-hour time frame. The 2-hour Cybot hasn't seen anything that it wants to see for a continuation long, which it really quite is. Of course, my personal philosophy on this is that my daily time frame strategy is my base layer strategy, very similar to Bitcoin being the base layer protocol. And then I consider things like Cybot and bottom feeder and ISISpot, things that we're building on top of this, to be second layer solutions, right? Opportunities to take advantage of things that the base layer won't. And to allow us to manage risk and have good opportunities. Let's see here. Just in. Hey, by the way, you guys know what today is. Today is Friday. That means it's leg day. How many of you guys skipped? Because you know Batman never skips leg day. All right. So make sure you guys get out there and get them squats. All right, so quiet on the 2-hour front. Of course, the last bottom feeder signal, the last 2-hour bottom feeder signal was back here on the 4th, catching this previous low. And then, of course, we got the DCA signal right here in this range. And we did have another dip, but again, that ended up being profitable. So about a 3-entry split right here. Didn't actually hit the stop loss on that, so that was a profitable trade. And then the last 4-hour bottom feeder trade. The last 4-hour bottom feeder trade signaled right back here on this candle, which was the last, I would say, significant dip before the double bottom, leading to this nice blow-off run that we've had so far. Now, interestingly enough, I've been spending a lot of time down on the 45-minute chart, optimizing ISISpot. Let's see here. The last 45-minute ISISpot signal was a loser. Actually, it just depends. It depends. Generally, I'm looking for a 2% swing on ISISpot. We did get a 1% swing on that sell signal. Wasn't able to get the 2%, though. And again, that's right around where this is also. This was actually a little bit higher, but this is also in this range is where we ended up taking that last leverage long on BTC, which we ended up closing last night right around right here, right at today's current point of control as we were consolidating at the very beginning of the Asian session. So interesting things happening here on the intraday time frame of Bitcoin. Of course, the ISISpot is generating not a little bit of bearish divergence, not extremely strong. As you can see, we formed a higher high right here, and ISISpot is generating a lower high. So a little bit of bearish divergence coming in on the 45-minute time frame. We are bearish. We have a kind of a failure to achieve because we weren't able to get back to the overbought levels on the ISISpot, and closing below zero at this point in time. The zero line of the ISISpot would be kind of shifting us into a bearish trend. And what I'm looking for to kind of confirm that we are going to be having a pullback today is a price closing underneath today's point of control. Today's point of control is resting at about 9,900. So if we close below 9,900 and then pull back and reject from 9,900, we're unable to get back above it, in conjunction with ISISpot crossing under zero, would suggest to me that we're going to have a pullback, which is the short play that I am currently in. And I'd be targeting yesterday's point of control, which is all the way back there. This would basically be a give back of yesterday's rally to the upside, because yesterday's point of control is sitting down around 93.20. And of course, we have an untapped point of control below that at around 88.80. So two potential targets to the downside. Invalidation for this would be if we formed a higher 4-hour or 1-hour high and actually began trading above our local daily high, which is sitting around 10,100. So 10,100, I think, is a good invalidation. I wouldn't recommend setting a hard stop loss there. That's not currently how I'm playing it. I am playing it with a soft stop loss because I want to see price actually close above that. And it is a possibility that if we are going to see a pullback today in Bitcoin's price, that we do get a sweep, right? We do get a sweep to clear out. Shorters, early shorters, and punish them. The other thing that lends a little credence to this also is if we look at the BitMEX funding and premium index, we can see that there is currently a premium on Bitcoin's price, which if we look at this this latest run up, we can see that there was not, right? If we look at this latest run up, this entire way to the upside, it was being aggressively sold. Spot price was actually growing faster than derivatives price, than the futures price. And so what this indicates to me is that there was a lot of profit taking going on during this rally. There was, although price was moving up, there was this backwardation on futures price as opposed to spot price. And now the exact opposite has happened. We do now have a premium on BitMEX price. And generally, when we get a premium on BitMEX price, it indicates that aggressive buying is beginning from retail traders, and that this is generally an area where price is likely to reverse because retail almost never gets it right. Generally, these are good trading against social sentiment type indicators, right? Things that individuals like Bitcoin Trading Challenge, my friend Bennett, he covers this stuff quite a bit. Of course, we've had him on the show before. Shout out to Bennett. But yeah, broaching today's point of control, the fact that we're trading with a premium is not a bullish sign because this indicates that individuals are attempting to long this local top. Now, while they might be successful, of course, we cannot rule out the halving hype. And again, I am still spot long because I do want to see price. I'm a Bitcoin believer. I want to see price hit those ridiculous whack-a-noodle numbers. I want to see us at 14K. I want to see us at 18K. I've just cooled off a lot more in my trading and my experience in Bitcoin. Of course, you can go back to the videos from I've been doing live streams since 2017, and I never stopped. I've been here for almost over 3 years now with this channel. And, you can go back and see, I've cooled off a whole lot of my aggression toward Bitcoin, right? I've become a much more seasoned crypto trader, and, my experience has shown through, and that's why I'm still around. Whereas most individuals that began, of course, we were doing, I was trading far before 2017, but, in a lot of Bitcoin or trading channels that popped up in 2017, they didn't make it through 2018. So interesting stuff going on right here. We've got a couple of signs to watch for. Of course, the actual meso time frame closed above 10,100, which would signal a continuation, which would validate the daily signal and the meso time frame signals. And then we have to pay attention to what's going on here on the micro and looking for that invalidation and looking overall at where price is. All right, so interesting things happening. Of course, Ethereum following along. Altcoins are having an interesting day today. Altcoins are actually putting in some nice movements to the upside. So let's watch the lower time frames, and I do want to talk about some stuff that I think is important today. So the total crypto market cap moved up over the Asian trading session, 16 billion. Crypto market capitalization currently sitting above $260 billion, closer to 270. Last night, Bitcoin futures saw a 50% increase, pushing past $30 billion in traded volume. CME open interest has reached a new all-time high during today's session. 13,400 positions traded yesterday with volume above 630 million, with open interest above 480 million. During this last run-up, there was about 27 million shorts that were liquidated across the major derivatives exchanges. And interestingly enough, and this is very interesting to get into, open positions for Bitcoin options, of course, this is mostly going to be on Deribit, they passed $1 billion in volume. Currently, we're sitting at over $1 billion of volume in Bitcoin options positions, or purchasing Bitcoin options positions. And, do you really think that people are buying calls at these levels? People are most likely buying puts. People are utilizing options to hedge against their spot long positions. People are spot long on Bitcoin, and they're buying puts to hedge against a decline in Bitcoin's price, which is, of course, a very good and classic hedging strategy. Now, Now, when it comes to altcoins are having a good day today. Of course, Bitcoin is consolidating at resistance, which is generally also can be construed as a bullish sign. And altcoins are actually doing well today. Some altcoins ripping, of course, 0x and RLC are performing quite nicely today. Now, however, over the last week, altcoins have not appreciated or benefited from Bitcoin's rise. Now, although they have risen prior to today against the dollar nominally, minimally, they have lost, traded against BTC, far more SAT value than even back during the March meltdown. And this is something very interesting, because when I often talk to people, and this is something that junior analyst Jason pointed out earlier today, this morning when we were doing our brief, looking at the alt BTC chart now, you're like, well, this wasn't anything compared to back in March. And it's way worse. I mean, altcoins have been absolutely decimated over the past week. Okay, now let's get into let's see what links I have for us today. We'll start going through the news. Of course, let's start here. Bitcoin block reward halving countdown brought to you by bitcoinblockhalf.com. 3 days, 7 hours, 29 minutes, and 54 seconds until the halving event, expected to occur on the 12th of May at about 00:59:28 UTC, so shortly after the daily close. All right, let's see here. All right, so this is obviously a popular Twitter thread today. So Raoul Paul, he is the CEO and founder of Real Vision Group. He's got a popular Twitter thread here about Bitcoin, about how it may hit 40,000 or 1 million, right? So what he's done is he's done some chartistry here and made a very long-term macro wedge and said that with Bitcoin breaking above $10,000, we are actually breaking out of this wedge and just using a classic measurement of peak to trough. Peak to trough, that gives us a that gives us a $40,000 price target for the breakout on this movement. That is on a linear scale. If you put this on a logarithmic scale, then you get a $1 million price target. Now, he follows this up with this regression channel where he plots these standard deviations, and he says that one standard deviation movement from this regression channel would result in a $400,000 price target, and a 2 standard deviation would give us a $1 million price target. And he references the stock to flow model to kind of buoy his argument as well. And give some credence to this. So, of course, some very good Bitcoin bull porn coming out today. So make sure to go check this Twitter thread out if you guys are interested in Raul's idea. Overall, my opinion on this is that I don't really think this kind of long-term analysis really works very well. I've seen so much of this stuff over my times, and you're always going to see this when Bitcoin's price is very bullish. You see people come out with these long-term projections, like the stock to flow model is a very good example. That person is not going to be around in 5 years or 10 years or 15 years to comment on whether or not he was right or wrong. It is literally just getting media attention for thoughts that you have in your head. Whereas traders like myself and our team, we're here commenting on what price is going to do tomorrow. And so we're far more, in my opinion, far more accountable to what we say and what we do, because this is our money on the line as well. Now, in addition to this, eToro put out their own Bitcoin halving guide 2020, talking about their projections for the halving of 2020. And their lead analyst, Simon Peters, talked about his idea. Basically, his idea is not too nuanced. He says that he is 75%, and the statistics here don't add up, but percentages don't always have to add up, right? He said that he is 75% confident that Bitcoin will range between 8,500 and 9,500 with a 20% chance of breaking to the upside and a 5% chance of a pullback. All right, well, 75 plus 20 plus 5%. There's 137%. But hey, certainly no slouch. Certainly no slouch. Bitfinex, back in the news today. Bitfinex launched an interesting platform. They launched a new ticker symbol called BTC-DOM, BTC-DOM, and this is a contract to speculate on Bitcoin dominance. And what I like about it is that it's settled in USDT. Now, this launched on Wednesday. They do have a proprietary index to track Bitcoin's share of the total crypto market capitalization against other crypto heavy hitters like Ethereum, Ripple, EOS, Litecoin, for example. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. And this is, so sorry in advance to our XRP, Tezos, and EOS fans in the crowd. Full disclosure, I hold all 3 of those tokens. However, we have a new report from Cornell University today that is fairly scathing on the actual transaction throughput for these 3 cryptocurrencies. So this report monitored the blockchains for these 3 cryptocurrencies over the past, I believe it was 3 months. Maybe it was longer, but I do believe it was 3 months. I could be mistaken about that. 3 months. And they concluded that on XRP, for example, 98% of all transactions that are sent on the XRP ledger have $0 value. They're basically just spam, empty transactions, just shells. Potentially, one could infer from this that this is deliberately spoofed to make the network look like it is actively being used to transact value, when in reality it is not. It's not. Tezos, 82% of all of their transactions are just used for consensus, not to transact value. And I'm a little bit more forgiving of Tezos. Tezos is a much newer cryptocurrency. They have other things that they want to do and build, but still, it's not an overall positive sign. But again, I still quite like Tezos. I think it's a good project. And again, I hold Tezos. 95% of EOS's transactions over the past 3 months have been transactions sending or involving an airdrop that was dropped on EOS network users. And that airdrop is worth absolutely nothing. It is a worthless airdrop. So not not overall fantastic news for these three cryptocurrencies. So I'd be very interested to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on this. To our EOS fans, our Tezos fans, our XRP fans in the audience, like, let us know in the comment section down below. You guys think the information is faulty? It looks like, I mean, this is a pretty good research. This is pretty good information. So this isn't an opinion. You guys can go check and look at the statistics, but definitely let me know what you guys think down in the section below. I thought I had it. There is a cool basic attention token primer. I will post that in the description down below. I don't actually have it pulled up. Riot Blockchain just bought 1,040 new S19s from Bitmain. So really, really, really ramping up on their ability to produce Bitcoin. Of course, they're headquartered in Colorado, but they have moved a good part of their operation to upstate New York. So for those of you guys who are looking for a little traditional exposure in the blockchain world, looking for some stocks, definitely check out Riot Blockchain. That's one of those really popular kind of moon and doom stocks out there. Stonks. Now, talking about Bitmain, there's been a huge power struggle between Zen and Jian Wu, and then obviously their other legal counsel. His name starts with an L. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But Zen and the gentleman whose name starts with L, they just got into a fist fight outside the headquarters of Bitmain in Beijing, and so it is ramping up. It is ramping up over there. So just something funny. Obviously, big in the news, Paul Tudor Jones bought Bitcoin to hedge against inflation. This is obviously huge in the news. Billionaire investor Paul Tudor Jones. Interesting to note, I wanted to point this nuance out because, of course, a lot of other people are talking about this. But if you actually look into it, he didn't actually buy spot Bitcoin. He is using futures. He's speculating with futures contracts. So. Give you guys an update. I talked about this yesterday. We've been covering the Telegram SEC ICO battle for quite a while now. And yesterday I mentioned that Telegram had decided to go ahead and launch the TON token anyways, under a different name called Free TON. Oh, that's not actually quite correct. Telegram isn't actually involved with Free TON. However, so Pavel Durov, who is the CEO of Telegram, is not involved whatsoever, nor is it officially involved with Telegram. But to be honest, this is Pavel Durov's brother is coordinating the development and the launch of Free TON, and as well as huge proof of stake validators and TON developers are involved with the Free TON. So it really is the TON network. But I just want to make sure that I'm very specific with the legalese here and talk about what's going on. This is a really good, this is an interesting article. I'll link this in the description down below if you guys want to kind of get a good insight into what's going on with the Telegram Open Network. Of course, we summarized this a bunch before, so make sure to go check out our Breaking Bitcoin Bits as we've covered this story for quite a while. You can search in our channel for Telegram and you'll find like 5 videos. Now, we covered this a while ago as well. XRP validators did end up voting today to approve the deletable accounts amendment. So you can now delete accounts on the XRP ledger. Now, this was to be, listen, I'm fairly critical of Ripple, the company, and XRP, the token. However, there was a lot of thoughts that this would give Ripple a lot of power or centralize the network more. And although that, of course, that can be done via nefarious means, on its face, if we look at the GitHub and how this is actually worked into the protocol, this is a function that's only available to account holders. So there's no ability to delete somebody else's account. You have to opt for your account to be deleted. All right. And then I'll link this in the description down below as well. This is really interesting. This is the top 5 decentralized exchanges by trading volume. Should come as no surprise that the top decentralized exchange by volume is actually Uniswap, and that is good. Then we have DYDX or DYDX, 0x followed by Oasis and Kyber. Interestingly enough, what's the? I can't even think of the name of that decentralized platform now. Ether Delta? No, not Ether Delta. But I'll link this in the description down below as well. So just definitely check this out. Now, our first big story of today that I want to get into. Let's check back in with the price of Bitcoin. Not doing too much so far. Oh, sorry. Before we get into that, I wanted to give you guys an update. Some of the fundamentals that we were following this month was obviously the United Kingdom. Boris Johnson was going to reveal the United Kingdom's process for kind of moving out or transitioning out of lockdown across the United Kingdom. That was released yesterday. And he will actually be giving a speech on that come Sunday. And it's kind of interesting how they have decided to do things. It's kind of the opposite of how we did things here in America. They seem to be allowing, I guess it's just a matter of priorities or preference, or maybe it's just a cultural difference, because I consider the things that they're releasing from lockdown, businesses that they're releasing from lockdown, more trivial and less essential, whereas I consider what we released to be more essential. It's just, but maybe just the priorities are there different. Just could be a cultural difference. So having said that, the Bank of England monetary policy came out yesterday, and it's pretty dire. Obviously things are not looking very good over there in the UK, and obviously the euro shows this. Took out positions against the euro, obviously, yesterday also. But the Bank of England just came out yesterday and said that GDP is going to be declining 14% in 2020 in Q1, 25% in Q2. So this is a huge, this is a quarter. This is a quarter percent, this is a 25% contraction, and definitely not good. Unemployment expected to rise to 9%. I would double that number at the very least, based on what I'm seeing over here in America, unless the UK has, some magic that I don't know about, because on top of this, of course, there's the uncertainty of Brexit. So there was already a lot of unemployment anyways, because uncertainty with the Brexit deal is the worst possible thing. Having a Brexit deal or not having a Brexit deal is much better for the economy, in my opinion, because then at least investors know what's up, right? A Brexit deal obviously makes economic conditions easier for a lot of businesses, whereas no Brexit deal makes things like tariffs and taxations and import taxes much more difficult for them. However, knowing what the situation is gives investors confidence. Like they either have to raise more capital, or they have to move things around, or cut this business, or move over here, or do what they need to do. They don't know what to do because there's an unknown. And as you guys know, there is nothing worse for investors or the market or for business in general than uncertainty. Uncertainty leads to apprehension, and it leads to impulsive decisions, which don't improve anybody. So I would actually, again, I would double that based on the numbers that I'm seeing here in America, and based on the fact that the UK already had this issue with Brexit moving into this economic crisis. And economic activity to jump in H2, I return to a previous path gradual. Yes, very gradual. It's going to take us a while to get there. And that is discounting kind of the impact that a destabilization of the USD as the world reserve currency might have across the world. And obviously, we've talked about China launching the DCEP with their very ambitious project to spread that. And we've talked about this quite a bit. Obviously, you can go check out yesterday's news roundup where I covered this and talked about my disagreement with the analysis of China's DCEP project and how it's not going to be utilized to spread Chinese economic influence, which I think is that's a technical term. All right, so our first big story of the day is going to be about a whole lot of stuff. So we're going to be talking about Warren Buffett and kind of him eating crow. With regards to kind of his comments and his stance on Bitcoin and how it has been lately. So the billionaire investor Warren Buffett, he spoke to CNBC recently, and he explained how his investment firm Berkshire Hathaway is having trouble finding attractive investments, with the COVID-19 pandemic sparing no one in the economy right now. There's just nothing really attractive to sink money into. Of course, we reported how at the Berkshire Hathaway convention, or dinner, or whatever you want to call it, that he said publicly that there isn't, the market hasn't dipped far enough to make injecting cash attractive. And of course, many have taken notice of Buffett's comments. And even professional investors like Dan Morehead from Pantera Capital thinks that he should seriously reconsider his position on Bitcoin and look at Bitcoin as what it is, which is the opportunity of a lifetime. Right now, Bitcoin, Buffett and Bitcoin have a kind of storied history. He talked about it being a rat poison squared back in February. He commented again on Bitcoin, saying that it has no value and it just happens to be way up for the year. Currently 38% since the start of 2020, by the way, and the only asset in the world that has significantly recovered since February. Meanwhile, if we look to the S&P 500 index, which is comprised of large United States stocks, which Buffett routinely endorses for amateur investors, it's down 12%, right? And if we look to Berkshire Hathaway, Buffett's insurance to utilities conglomerate and investment vehicle, well, its shares are down 21% so far just in 2020. But Bitcoin's just up randomly. Right? It's just randomly up, right? It's outperforming the entire market just because, right? Just happens, man. It's random, right? Now, Dan Morehead of Pantera Capital, he was formerly a Goldman Sachs mortgage bond trader, and he went on to oversee the FOREX options at Deutsche Bank in London. He later joined the hedge fund Tiger Management, pretty famous hedge fund, before he started his current venture, which is Pantera Capital, in 2013. And he really was focused and has excelled at forming a Bitcoin investment firm. That's what Pantera Capital is designed to be and do. Now, Morehead, he wrote in his monthly newsletter, which was published last week, and he echoed Buffett's sentiment that there is little to be positive about in regards to the global economic outlook. And he described the current times as extremely distressing and massively confusing right now for everybody, especially investors, right? He says that the only thing that is clear right now in the markets is that this pandemic is going to have a devastating toll on the economy, with a strong chance that things are going to get worse before they get better. Meaning government deficits will get out of control, and it will be accompanied by reckless money printing, on top of the fact that we can infer that the market is going to have another meltdown or a significant trend to the downside or dip lower. Now, Morehead believes all of this bodes well for Bitcoin, particularly when you consider May's upcoming, or just in a few days, the halving event, when the network block reward is going to get cut in half. He feels that Bitcoin is cementing its status as a bulwark against inflation, which is what it was designed to do. Or, really, as he put it, the actions of the central banks right now amount to hydrostatic pressure. The flood of new money will lift all boats, but he strongly believes the situation will inevitably be a very positive result for prices in cryptocurrency land. Now, from the Wall Street Journal, the economic doom and gloom forecast that we see does still remain very stark. According to the WSJ, an economic report that was due on Friday today is going to reveal that the U.S. unemployment rate has risen to 16% back in April, which would represent a record high in data going all the way back to 1948. Right? And according to Politico, some estimates even put the jobless rate as high as 22%, which is encroaching on the Great Depression numbers of 25%. And of course, keep in mind that we've gotten better at record keeping, or perhaps worse, depends on how you want to argue about it. Is it a pandemic or a plandemic? So it's very, very difficult. All we know is that this is terrible. This is tragic. So many humans are hurting right now. So many people are going to be hurt. And this is not something that we're going to bounce back from. It's not going to happen. Earlier this week on Monday, the Treasury Department stated that it plans to borrow up to $3 trillion this quarter, right? Which would mark a six-fold increase over all that they borrowed in Q1, right? All to ostensibly fund COVID-related emergency spending, i.e. stimulus. So at Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway annual shareholder meeting that took place last Saturday, the billionaire investor warned his clients of the potential extreme consequences that are going to result from the Fed's decision to continue to prop up corporate debt, right? Saying that right now America is doing things that we do not know the ultimate outcome to, right? We do not, like government and the central banks do not know what they're doing. Right? Other outlets like the New York Times attempted to soften the blow by saying that Buffett is neither optimistic or pessimistic, but merely realistic, right? I think that's, they're trying to soothe market fears. I don't know why. These days, though, it does seem as though cryptocurrency investors are more in touch with reality because we're warning about the government's runaway monetary policy, fiscal stimulus, and that it's their printing that is driving the force behind the economy and markets, right? At least Arca Funds agrees with me, right? They are a cryptocurrency focused investment firm, and they were speaking similar talking points concerning the debasement of fiat currency. And they happily point out that so far in 2020, the cryptocurrency markets are on the right side of history, while traditional markets continue to struggle because of what is going on. Right? And as they put it, if your entire investment thesis for owning stocks and bonds requires this much government intervention just to survive, shouldn't every debt and equity investor at least be willing to listen to an alternative proposition? Now, in all fairness to Buffett, he claims that his firm is looking for a special investment opportunity and that it has $30 to $50 billion allocated to such a special case. So this is how they do things. Now, that may be a little too much to go all in on Bitcoin with. After all, Bitcoin's entire outstanding market value is barely, it's about $266 billion right now. As of right now, a $50 billion purchase would surely send prices skyrocketing. Come on, Buffett, hit that market buy button. But, maybe Buffett should be considering even a little exposure to the latest and greatest class of alternative assets. But as Buffett told CNBC interviewer Becky Quick a few months ago during his February appearance on Squawk Box, he didn't own any cryptocurrency, and he emphasized how he never will. So Buffett may be overlooking the opportunity of a lifetime. There is, after all, a growing body of investors who see Bitcoin as a promising investment during the current depressing financial times that we're in. The Block Crypto recently reported on the Wall Street firm Jefferies and how its global head of equities, Chris Wood, strongly recommended Bitcoin just last week to their investors, saying investors should be looking to buy Bitcoin before the upcoming halving. Now, earlier this week, the London-based investment firm ID Theory included a chart in their analysis showing how dramatically money managers have turned their portfolios around, thanks to their bets placed on Bitcoin futures. That is what saved them this year. But, going back to Dan Moorhead, Pantera, he also wrote a pretty frothy price prediction on Bitcoin in his newsletter published last week, describing Bitcoin prices climbing as high as $115,000 by 2021, marking a tenfold increase relative to where we are now in the market. Yes, it can happen. Now, Buffett shareholders might be left drooling over the prospects of such returns, but instead, they're being told to sit on their hands and let Berkshire ride out the storm while they find their next unicorn. Or, as Dan put it, if you can find something that goes up during the course of the biggest crisis in a century, you should have some of that in your portfolio. And this is only the beginning of Bitcoin's historic run-up. According to the New York Times, Buffett did try to wrap up Saturday's investment meeting on a positive note, saying that he left investors with a sliver of hope when he referred to the, quote, American miracle, unquote. The premise that the American spirit has always prevailed and it will do so again. And there's a lot of beauty to that. But based on the current prognostications of cryptocurrency investors, who so far this year have been proven right time after time, thanks to Bitcoin's sharp rebound from the March meltdown, that miracle and American spirit might be coming not from the government, but from the entrepreneurs who are currently working to develop alternatives to the current financial and monetary mess we find ourselves in. And the fruit of their imagination will include innovations and inventions such as improvements to Bitcoin and the rise of other digital asset solutions, not the resurrection or the saving of a broken and destructive fiscal and monetary system. If you want to see the American spirit, it's in what we're going to do with Bitcoin. I believe that. So let me know what you guys think. Obviously a big topic. It's heartbreaking almost to see people on the sidelines and being advised by their asset managers, by their market analysts, by their professional investments firms that, well, we just need to wait for the stock market to recover. What if it doesn't? You know, it is such common knowledge that a buy and hold strategy is the best strategy out there, that a long only strategy is the best bias to have. Your data only goes back a century. Now, that's a long time, but you are, I think, naive and blind if you think that the stock market must just recover. Companies can be individually healthy, and I think that investment in companies and corporations is a good idea. The corporate structure is successful and does work. It is a sign of a free and open economy. So corporations aren't bad. Stocks are good. The entire concept of stocks are good. But government control of a centralized and usurious monetary system is not. And because the underlying stock valuations are derived from that fiscal system, we are in for a world of hurt. And again, if you want to see where the world is going, you're on the right channel. Now, before we wrap up today's show, I wanted to talk about one last thing, and this is something that came up in the Discord the other day, so I wanted to touch on this. You know, how does USDT supply on exchanges impact Bitcoin's price, right? You know, there are on-chain metrics that we look at, such as, and, you know, off-chain metrics too, such as balance of exchanges and crypto net inflows and net outflows, and a lot of interesting strategies that have been derived around this, stuff that I talk about quite a bit. So some analysis that has come out has kind of prompted me to talk on this, right? And this is implying an inverse correlation between the price of Bitcoin and the total supply of USDT on cryptocurrency exchanges. And according to this research, a declining amount of Tether sitting on exchanges could be a signal that another major run-up is to come for Bitcoin's price, i.e., as Tether dwindles on Bitcoin exchanges, you assume that that Tether is going somewhere, and it is generally being used to purchase Bitcoin, right? So this new data was compiled by the cryptocurrency analytics company Santiment, and they touched on their findings in this tweet relating to and you know, noting that swings in Bitcoin's price over the past 3 months relative to the total supply of USDT held on deposit at major exchanges showed a certain pattern, right? Starting from February, when Bitcoin was trading at about 9,500, the amount of USDT sitting on exchanges was relatively low. Then over the following weeks, data shows that the supply of USDT grew substantially and reached a 3-month high in mid-March, which of course coincided with the violent crash in the price of Bitcoin on the now infamous Black Thursday, when Bitcoin bled out to the tune of 50% to the downside over the period of a few hours that evening. Over the course of that sell-off, over $1 billion worth of various stablecoins was sat on the sidelines at these various exchanges following this massive sell-off. Now, Bitcoin has been on a solid recovery path since mid-March. Yet, in the midst of Bitcoin's run-up to where we currently sit right now, 10,000, Santiment's research suggests that Tether's on-exchange supply has been declining again over this time. Thus, Santiment is concluding that their data and their chart clearly indicates that there is an inverse correlation between Bitcoin's price and the supply of US dollar Tether on exchanges, right? Now, with this metric for the number one stablecoin trending down, the number one crypto, Bitcoin, stands to move up. Now, their viewpoint does stand in contrast to another popular opinion in the space. And that is that the markets favor and that the market's favorite stablecoin, the Bitfinex linked US dollar Tether, is actually the one responsible for artificially inflating Bitcoin's price and is at the root of a manipulative run-up, right? With one study that's now been made very popular and commonly referenced being published in 2018 and later updated in 2019, in that the researchers claimed that the epic 2017-2018 crypto run-up was caused by market manipulation, which the researchers attributed to major US dollar Tether purchases of Bitcoin, which were timed with declines in the market to stabilize the bottom, right? Now, Tether has, of course, refuted all of these allegations, saying that their stablecoin has never been involved in any price manipulation. Well, has it ever been used in a Poloniex trade? Market manipulation. But more recent research on the matter has also sided with Tether, but in a different aspect, right? It noted that there's no systematic evidence that exists to support the assertion that Tether issuance is affecting cryptocurrency prices. Now, whether or not USDT is in fact responsible for some of Bitcoin's price developments is still unclear, despite the numerous claims in either direction. However, with the declining supply of Tether on exchanges and the growing interest in Bitcoin a week before the upcoming halving, more intense volatility can certainly be anticipated shortly. So again, interesting metric. I think that this is easy to see. If we see declining Tether, this is generally a bullish sign. If we see an increasing supply of Tether, this is generally a bullish sign. So I know that one individual utilizes a trading strategy or looks at US dollar Tether dominance, USDT dominance. When it is on the rise, that is when he looks to hedge or take on short positions. And when it is on the decline, he looks to go long or take long positions. So, all right. So guys, that ends our cryptocurrency segment. Please leave any comments or thoughts in the section down below. I'll do my best to respond to you over the next 24, let's say 2 to 4 hours. Hey guys, also, if you enjoyed the content, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. It really does help us out. Otherwise, YouTube cannot guarantee that you receive notifications. There is, of course, a lot of shadow banning going on. There is a lot of negative attention coming in with Google's latest update to their algorithm. And we've obviously had issues with this, so we really really appreciate the support, guys. Again, subscribing and hitting the bell icon. Make sure that you continue to receive this good content. And please, I appreciate it if you guys hit the like button, get us up over 50 likes. I know you guys can do it. We've done it for the last 3 days, so just go ahead and click down there, smash that like button. Lets us know that you appreciate the hard work that goes into this channel and does actually help boost our results in the search rankings and helps us overcome kind of the albatross that we have to get over with this latest update to Google's algorithm. All right. With that being said, guys, let's check back in with price. And we really haven't moved too much. Currently sitting at $99.96. So looking up to retest that $10,000. And we are moving into the weekend, typically Friday being a profit-taking day. Let's see what volume and everything does over the weekend. Again, to give you guys an update on everything and where we are currently at as we move. It is time to end up the show. First thing, I want to make sure we reward our viewers over here on DLive. Thank you guys so much for the lemons and the follows over there today. Highly appreciated. Giving you guys some love right now. And shout out to everybody watching on Twitch and YouTube as well. Highly appreciated. And of course, if you're watching on Roku with the Investor News Channel app, shout out to you. All right, looking at the technicals here, we still see some potential bearish diversions coming in from the lower time frames. We are still trading at a premium with BitMEX, which is not an overall positive sign, but can, of course, lead to some price acceleration. Just because we are trading at a positive premium doesn't mean the price has to reject here, of course. We can accelerate further. And like I said, that will be confirmed if we do close the 45-minute or the 1 hour or a higher time frame, a meso time frame, above 10,100 and actually break out of the range today. We are, again, currently consolidating above today's point of control. And we did just recently backtest this level as potential support. So again, I am playing both sides of the market. I do have a short on with a relatively tight stop, and I do have a larger long on right now with a relatively looser stop. So again, I am also spot long. And so overall, I would like to see Bitcoin appreciate to the upside. However, I am being cautious and looking at this opportunity and trying to take every advantage I can in the market and provide those signals to the premium group as well. Let's see here. Thank you so much, Blue Box Territory. Highly appreciate that. Much love to you and your family too, my friend. And big winners over here, Midwest Attempts, Squeaky Tadpole, DePie Guy, Ricky T, and Dark Rico. Thank you guys for your support. All right. Also, guys, let's switch over to the main scene. All right. Don't forget, guys, Sunday is Mother's Day. All right. Make sure to show your mother some love. Get her some, chocolate Bitcoins and explain to her how she can preserve her 401k, her pension, and her life savings by adopting the leading digital asset, Bitcoin. It's going to be a great conversation, the conversation that your mother has wanted to have with you since the day you were born. So remember, even if she acts like she doesn't want to talk about Bitcoin, she does, right? She does. So she's just being coy. Obviously, a lot of activity, a lot of things going on today. I think there's some exciting opportunities for altcoins, especially with Bitcoin consolidating here. We're seeing some big moves for altcoins. So again, use responsible risk, use responsible leverage, use responsible position sizing, all of the stuff that we focus on in our educational content and in our active trading. I do think there's some good opportunities, particularly in the USDT sector. I still am a little bit iffy on the BTCs. I think that if BTC dominance continues to rise, then we're going to see much lower lows on alts BTC. But over the weekend, alts might go out to play. So it might be a good opportunity to actually snag up some for the activity. But be careful over the weekend. Anything could happen. And we will see you guys back. Let me know in the comment section down below. What are we going to see coming in on Monday, guys? Is it going to be a black Monday? Is it going to be a green Monday? Is it going to be, a Monday, Bloody Monday? Or is it going to be a, is it going to be like a one more time? Bitcoin is a pumping again. It's just a Monday. Oh, yeah. All right. Don't stop the dancing. Yeah. Anyways. If you guys have any questions, comments, let me start at the beginning. Thank you guys for joining me for another exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin Market Analysis with your host, Justin Wise. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, sarcastic remarks, or death threats, please leave them in the comment section down below, and I or my team will do our best to respond to you as soon as we possibly can. If you guys are watching this price action go by and you want to work on developing your own trading strategy, if you already have a trading strategy and it is not performing the way that you want it to, or if you just want to learn to trade the way that we trade, if you want to begin working towards your professional trading career, I encourage you to join our community and start building your system today. Take advantage of everything that we offer. You can find more information with the link in the description, or point your browser to premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com to work with our team of analysts and traders and be an active member of our community. That's premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com. If I didn't say that, sometimes I forget. Link in the description. Links for everything are in the description down below. Shout out to our friends everywhere. Shout out to our friends everywhere, including, of course, X42, Spectre Security Coin, MMO. Make sure to go check them out and show them some love. You can find them in the partners channel, and hop in the Discord, because we will be in there over the weekend breaking down price, working with all of our community members. That's discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com. You can also find exclusive content on Instagram and Twitter that you will not see anywhere else. All right, with that being said, guys, that's it for me. It's been a fantastic week. I want you guys to be awesome, trade safely, and don't forget Mother's Day, guys. Do not forget Mother's Day. I will see you guys Monday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget to smash the likes. Be good, guys. Have a good weekend.